Big names have focused on Benton Harbor recently. MSNBC host Rachel Maddow delivered a scathing report on the city and the emergency manager law. Reverend Jesse Jackson showed up to call the new rules unconstitutional, and other critics are lining up.
We're starting in Benton Harbor because Benton Harbor is ground zero.
That's Reverend David Bullock of the Detroit chapter of Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition. So why is Benton Harbor getting so much attention from outside of Michigan?
People like a personal platform, and if they can find a place to develop it, they come.
That's former Whirlpool CEO Dave Whitwam. Whirlpool's global headquarters is in Benton Harbor.
One of the things we've learned over the years, people who come leave very quickly. And they can come to our community, or they can write about our community and take whatever shots they want, but they don't have to live with it.
Whirlpool has its own share of controversies in Benton Harbor, everything from moving manufacturing out of the area to the massive tax breaks it claims and development plans. Whitwam retired from Whirlpool 7 years ago, but still lives and works in the area. He believes the outspoken few may not represent what could be a silent majority in favor of the changes they've seen since Harris was appointed emergency manager of Benton Harbor by Governor Jennifer Granholm's administration.
If you're a resident of Benton Harbor and you got a family in Benton Harbor, you understand that they cannot keep spending beyond their needs. And when they do, they can't provide the public services that the community and its citizens want. And so I think there's what I believe is pretty broad support for Mr. Harris and what he's doing in the community.
The man who has that job, Joe Harris, is a Detroit native and a former city auditor general. He says when he came to Benton Harbor, there were a lot of problems.
The finance director had no accounting background, no financial background.
And
each year, the budgeted appropriations exceeded budgeted revenues.
And
the city's total revenues were less than the city's total expenditures by $9 million. This is a city that has total revenues of $6 million.
Harris does not have the best working relationship with the city commissioners. And with the new broad emergency manager rules, he recently limited their powers to do anything except to call a meeting, approve minutes, and adjourn a meeting. He says the 9 commissioners never really looked for viable answers to the city's insolvency.
The only answers they were looking for were, how do we get more revenue? Constant. The mayor wants to bring a casino here so that we can have more revenue. If I can get a surplus without increasing revenues and not reduce city services, then the people are going to appreciate that.
Harris says he will present a budget with $1 million surplus for next year and now feels he could leave the city relatively soon and in a place where it could run efficiently. And he says the stars aligned for him to achieve that because, in part, of the new emergency manager law. But opponents of the law have been particularly concerned with an emergency manager's ability to unilaterally dissolve union contracts and replace elected officials. City Commissioner Marcus Muhammad says the commission was elected by the people, and Joe Harris wasn't.
The resident now is sideswiped, and their input, their opinion, their freedom of speech really is now thrown underneath the rug.
Reverend David Bullock says there's more to taking care of a city than upending its political and financial structure.
You do have to keep your financial house in order, but the question is, how do you do that? Do you do that at the expense of disenfranchising democracy?
Bullock and other activists say they plan to file a lawsuit against the state regarding the constitutionality of the emergency manager law. For the Michigan Public Radio Network, this is Laura Weber.